Talent, talent, talent. We just talked about Elon Musk putting out a notice asking for chip designers to apply at Tesla. And we definitely want software developers here in Nigeria. We've got the 3MT program from the Digital Economy Ministry. So, federal government of Nigeria launching, of course, the Nigeria Talent Accelerator Network, which is being supported by the World Economic Forum. They've joined this global accelerator network. Of course, they want to have a competitive skills system at the core of this particular network. And the goal, of course, is to boost human capital. So we're going to have a conversation with the head of Africa at the World Economic Forum. That is Chido Munyati. Chido, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining us live from Geneva. It is good to have you on here. Can you describe how the World Economic Forum is supporting these talent accelerator programs?
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be back on the show. So the World Economic Forum is bringing together a multi-stakeholder group, so from the private sector, government, as well as development practitioners to really fast-track efforts and national priorities around job creation, job transformation, and education reform. Importantly, this multi-stakeholder group that we bring together is really focused on ensuring that under the framework of the World Economic Forum's Accelerator Country Network, that we are providing technical expertise. We're allowing for public-private partnerships to form, as well as ensuring that there's peer-to-peer learning, because now Nigeria is part of a global network of countries under the skilled accelerator model. But ultimately, the efforts are really geared towards how do we bring the public sector and the private sector together to support Nigeria's ambitions around skills development.
Certainly. I mean, you see what's happening with AI, and World Economic Forum has put out a report on jobs of the future. You've been on this, so this is really important. So you had the strategic roundtable not too long ago, this month, I believe. What are the next steps from there?
No, thank you so much. We had a great roundtable on the 11th of November, which is really participation was from at the highest level from government. We had the Minister of Education, Minister of Trade and Investment, as well as private sector leaders. And really the key next steps are around implementation and partnership alignment. So we're forming committees that will look into and drive progress related to job creation, skills development, as well as private sector investment, which is key. And so going forward, we will have a roadmap that's measurable, that will ensure that we are driving efforts, importantly, to support Nigeria's priorities.
Now, Chido, Elon Musk has this viral tweet that has about 35 million views. He's talking about chip design at Tesla. He put out an email address for anyone who is involved in chip design, software developers, and so on and so forth to email Tesla. Nigeria has this 3MT program where they're looking, that's the Digital Economy Ministry, run by, of course, Dr. Bosun Tijani, where they are looking, there's the tweet from Elon Musk right now. I mean, it's pretty incredible stuff. And Tesla stock is up 6% on the back of that. The 3MT program, Nigeria is aiming to build technical talent. So, will the roundtable and what you're trying to do at the World Economic Forum and this accelerator program, will it piggyback off of programs like that?
No, absolutely. So the World Economic Forum, our role is not to reinvent the wheel or to impose any specific strategies. What we do is simply just amplify and support existing national government policies. This 3MT program is an example of something that's aligned with the work that we're doing, particularly as it relates to innovation, digital skills, and job transformation. As you clearly articulated, many of the important jobs for the future are going to be in this digital realm. So, cybersecurity skills, as well as skills related to, AI scientists. And I think the Elon tweet that you're referring to, skills related to people who are going to be creating these GPUs that are really important for computational resources for generative AI. So our efforts are really geared to thinking through how we can scale and implement existing efforts by the government. And I think this 3MT backbone is an example of something that's aligned with our ambitions and something that I think we're going to be able to support going forward.
Great stuff. Now, Chido, I'm glad you've mentioned all the skills and everything that would go into, the future of work, which the World Economic Forum has put reports out on. But can you talk about the education side of the equation and I guess the education pipeline? The Minister of, I think it was the Minister of Education, or State or so, was part of the roundtable. How are you seeing things on that? Do curriculums have to be revamped? I know, of course, private schools in Lagos, in Nigeria, are not doing too badly, but there's also the conversation around the public schools. So how are you viewing that side of the equation, the education pipeline?
No, absolutely. So the Honorable Minister, Dr. Alausa, I think put together a very strong agenda for education reform as well as curriculum reform, which I think is something that we will be able to support specifically by ensuring that these reforms mirror the private sector demands in terms of demands for future of jobs. So that's important and key. And it's also important because skills development begins at an early stage. So ensuring that these reforms in the curriculum are aligned with the future of jobs is quite important. But also, it's also important to realize that a lot of the jobs that are going to come are not necessarily going to be of the technical nature. A lot of vocational jobs are going to be key. And I think that's something that the minister articulated quite clearly in our discussions on the 11th.
Chido, where do you fall on the STEM debates? That is, science, technology, engineering, and math. We did have a bit of a, I guess, debate here in Nigeria because we have a NEL fund, what the government has put forward to give loans to students regardless of their discipline. Whatever it is you're studying, you can get a loan, which sounds great. But if you want to, again, tie into the World Economic Forum's reports on the jobs of the future and so on and so forth, there has been this focus on STEM. Where do you fall on that? Do you think these kind of programs, when you look at talent accelerator programs and so on, should be focused on science, technology, engineering, and math, or other disciplines allowed? How do you see that dynamic?
That's a great question. I mean, of course, STEM jobs are important. If you look at our Future of Jobs report, you see that, as I mentioned earlier, skills in the digital realm, so, related to GPUs, related to data scientists and cybersecurity roles are going to be growing in importance. But importantly, Africa is the fastest growing population in the world. 50% of the population growth between now and 2050 will come from Africa, which means that non-technical jobs, vocational jobs are going to be key. For example, output in agriculture is going to have to grow exponentially. So we need people who are working in the agriculture sector who can contribute to ensuring that we meet demand. Similarly, around construction and infrastructure, we're going to need many more schools. We're going to need many more housing to meet the demand of this exponential growth in terms of our populations. And disproportionately, Nigeria will be contributing a large percentage of that population boom. So although, STEM is important, we have to take a holistic approach. We have to also focus on non-technical vocational skills to ensure that, we're collectively working towards the jobs that are actually going to be available in the future and needed. And finally, as we strive to create the single market for the trades and goods and services, we're going to need big scale infrastructure that connects our networks, everything from financial to digital to physical. And so I think, making sure we have a balance between those two types of skills will be key.
Well, fair point, Chido. Okay, so as far as tracking the impact of this collaboration, are there milestones set forward? How are you going to be, tracking how well this does?
No, absolutely. We're going to have milestones that are measurable based on the data that we have at the forum, based on the data that the government will be tracking. So we'll have periodic reviews where we will meet with the government and the private sector, just ensuring that there's alignment and that we're meeting our targets, whether it's on efforts around job creation, skills development, or necessarily just around, how are we bringing the private sector to bear? Because I think the value really of the World Economic Forum is our efforts and our ability to convene the private sector. And so those are things that we will be tracking, ensuring that whatever we're doing is yielding progress for the Nigerian government.
Chido, we've only got a couple of minutes to go. Just my final question. I mean, as the head of Africa at the World Economic Forum, do you worry about a growing divide in development, I guess, between Africa and the more developed nations? And do you think with programs like this that Africa can at least keep up or catch up? What's your outlook with respect to how far development can go on the continent?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we should be concerned because the future of jobs or the future of economies and societies is going to be transformed by these breakthrough technologies such as artificial intelligence. They're poised to redefine economies and societies perhaps by, more profoundly than any other technology that has come before them. And so we know that China and the US are at the forefront of creating these AI models, these generative AI models. We know that, countries in the Gulf and elsewhere are really at the forefront in terms of providing the energy generation, the computational resources that are needed to train these models. And then, we now need to understand as Africa, what's our position? How are we going to play a role in ensuring that the application of these technologies and these solutions benefit us in terms of job creation? As I mentioned, the majority of the people entering the job market between now and the foreseeable future, the vast majority will be Africans, young Africans. And so it is imperative that we ensure that we have the right skills to adopt and contribute in this evolving dynamic.
All right, we'll see how things work out. And it is very helpful to see the World Economic Forum supporting these types of initiatives. Chido Munyati, Head of Africa, World Economic Forum, joining us from Geneva. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.